So I'm in a personal study right now of the book of John, and currently I'm in John chapter 19. And in the book of John, in this particular chapter, it's Jesus before Pilate. And I find it amazing how many times that Jesus is referenced or actually called king. In fact, the soldiers put a robe on him, purple robe, signifying a lordship, a kingship, put a crown of thorns on his head, smack him, call him king of the Jews. Pilate goes to the Jews and says, "Isn't this your king?" Uh, Ultimately, the Jews actually fight back with him by saying, "No, and if you consider him a king, then you're no friend of Caesar," which makes Pilate kind of in a tight bind what to do. He eventually goes to Jesus and says, "Hey, do you not hear us? What do you have to say?" And Jesus doesn't respond. And then Pilate says, "You don't have the authority to have you kill or release you." Jesus' response is, "Actually, no. The only authority you have has been what's been given to you by God." And as I think about these two concepts of Jesus being king and the authority given to those in leadership, it should be comforting to us, but it's amazing how many of us don't want to have somebody king over our lives, because when somebody's a king, that means they're in charge of us. That means there's rules that they put in place. There's things that are there that we have to answer to, that we're servants to them. But the amazing thing about God being king over our lives is how much he does things for us, how he takes care of us. He's the perfect king. Not the king who's trying to get everything for himself, but the king to do things for others, for that relationship with us. And we forget sometimes when we hear the word king and kingship, what that means, that we have a protector, a lover on our side for us. But then I think about the idea of the authority and what that means. Because there are people over authority all over. You know, in education, we have maybe instructional coaches, we have an assistant principal, a principal, we have people at the superintendent's office, maybe the superintendent themselves, or those in charge of curriculum. They're in charge of us. They're authority over us. We look even at the bigger picture. We have police, we have government officials, we have our senators, our Congress, we have those in the White House, and sometimes we have quite a bit of time of maybe not liking somebody in those positions because of the decisions that they made. Some are good leaders, some are bad leaders, and so we complain, we gripe. And when I look at this passage, I'm reminded that Jesus tells us that those people are in authority only because God has allowed it. He actually says the words, he's given them that authority. And in spite of how bad or good they are, the comfort we can take is that they're there because God's allowed it. So we first need to respect them. We need to respect those who are in authority, whether we like it or not. But the other piece is that we have comfort in that the decisions that they make, whether good or bad, God will use them for his glory. It's hard for us sometimes to see it in that moment, but in the end, that's what's going to happen. God loves us. He puts them in an authority position, and he'll use that authority position to glorify his kingdom. And so we can take peace even in those midst of turmoil, things that we don't understand why decisions were made or things were said, or we can't always see the big picture. But that's where we can trust God, our King, who ultimately loves us and wants the best for us. God, our King, who is looking out for us at all times, desires that relationship for us. Oh, we can take comfort, joy, and peace in knowing that.